Good evening. My voice didn't break this time, but you guys wouldn't have known because we recorded the first 5 or so minutes of this broadcast this evening without actually broadcasting.
No, no. You had a lovely little speech, a lovely little intro. You've missed it all, ladies and
It was my
gentlemen,
best work.
somehow.
It was yeah. So yeah. So not that there's any difference to you. Well, we're late as far as you're concerned. However, we were on time. I just
Yep.
didn't click the button correctly. What happened? So anyway, welcome. This is the rundown on a Monday night. I'm Steve. This side of me is Tebbs.
Hello,
Um,
hello.
we're going to go through the Uniball 14 happenings. We've already talked about them, but I'm going to you're going to have to do like shocked faces and stuff.
Yeah,
So we're gonna have a look at all like the main talking points, and obviously Tebbs will dive into some of the results. Um, we'll have a little talk about the NFL. I did actually watch both games. And I stayed
good.
up for them, so I can actually say stuff about them this week. So welcome everyone. The so thinking like over the weekend, one of the things that really stood out to me in week 14 was the number of games that didn't get played. So there were games that were postponed, games that were forfeits, and I think in total we counted like 9 that didn't go ahead. Now that includes one from Bournemouth where they were playing the Worcester Royals and the Royals already backed out. So I think that game was voided and not a forfeit, but still didn't go ahead. Right, is what I'm sort of is my line. Um, but interestingly, it was when I hear that games aren't going ahead, or when someone tells me that, rightly or wrongly, Tebs, my mind jumps to Div 2, right? um, I do. I don't, like, and I think that's sort of maybe that's come from too many years of covering senior adult contact football, and it being the case that Div 2 teams are flakier than the others. But no, that we had Prem North, Prem South, we had Southeastern one, 2 from Southeastern one, and then the rest were Div 2, which was three games. So a nice spread. Now, one of the things I
Nice
want
spread.
to, yeah, one of the things that I did say in our unrecorded session was the reason
ARU
for the
Rhinos.
postponements. Huh?
Oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself in terms of
Yeah,
what
come on,
you've
mate.
already
Stop
covered.
ruining it. Yeah, was the reason for the postponement. So, COVID, took most of them, right? 5 or 6 of them. Um, and every COVID case was like either it was one of the 2 teams. We didn't ever have both teams. It was one of the 2 teams. Then we had the one case up in Edinburgh, so Aberdeen, the Aberdeen Bulls versus Heriot Watt Wolverines. That was called off because of storm damage, I thought like devastation. I was like, oh no,
Yeah,
your
that's what
clubhouse
you
is
think.
gone. Like a tornado lifted your storage unit and smashed it into a load of cars and stuff. Basically, a couple of trees had fallen down and made access to the venue impossible. So they wouldn't been able to start on time, and they decided to not do it. So that was that one, and then the other one, which I think is a big talking point, or a point worth talking about, was ARU Rhinos. So they were due to play the QMBL Vipers at Queen Mary, and we got word on the day that, and I think we got it from Queen Mary or a Queen Mary person. I can't remember. I don't think it was the official account, but basically we got word ARU haven't turned up because they don't have enough players. That not enough players turned up today. Like then there's not enough that have even here. And like I thought about that, over the last couple of days, and like if this organization knew about that during the week, they would have said, right. So you can assume that, or I assume this now. Now we know that ARU had some issues in week 13. They actually couldn't complete their game. I can't remember who they're playing, but they couldn't finish their game, and they ended the game early. That it was a loss. I think it was like late third quarter that they stopped playing last week. So we know they had some injured players, but you can assume that they didn't wait until Sunday for everyone to come together and then count heads. Like they must have done some midweek training or whatever, and then got to Sunday, and the players that they were relying on that they thought were going to be there didn't turn up. Like what are your thoughts on that, Tebbs? How does that sit with
Well,
you, mate?
well, it's like you can sort of infer from week 13 that it is more than likely going to be an injury issue. But then again, the fact that
Do you
they've
think it's
waited.
Queen Mary's fault for not checking?
No, I don't. No, I don't think it's Queen Mary's fault. I imagine they were all there ready to play, and then it's, or at least in the morning,
Mm.
and it's like you're waiting for the bus. Or sorry, not even waiting for the bus. You've prepped, you're ready, you've had your porridge, you're ready to go. No, I don't think it's Queen Mary's fault at all. But
No,
again,
I
you
was
have to
joking.
you have to infer that it's an injury issue. It's
No, you
it,
don't. No. See, why do you have to infer that? Because if you knew it was an injury issue, then you would have
no,
midweek
no,
known
but
that.
exactly that's the problem. Is that you would know if you have like probably 2 training sessions a week. Let's say one on Tuesday and one on Thursday,
Yeah.
as a guess. You'd know. You'd know on the Tuesday. You'd know on the first session. Um,
Yeah.
So it could just be that it happens in Uniball. It's not, people don't turn up on the day. Someone that's just how it goes, and there's no point in if you've got the bare minimum and it's players who might be banged up. Are you going to risk it?
Yeah, but
Are
this
you
is a
going to
Div
risk?
1 side. Like, this is my, going back to my, I assume everything is Div 2. This is a Div 1 side, right? Like, ARU, I think they were recently, I think in the last couple of years, they've been promoted to Div 1 from Div 2.
Yeah, like you can see from like the record, like it's not been favourable for ARU. Like they are probably going to get a demotion this year. But they're 0-7.
So do they,
Um,
you think they just packed it up? Because what, they got one more game left if it's 0-7? It's usually an 8-game season, right?
it probably, it's.
I haven't got that information in front
I
of me,
wouldn't.
so.
I wouldn't. If again, would you risk that? Would you risk the health of the players if that's there? But then again, let people know. If
Yeah,
you
but
know,
see, I hate that phrase. Would you risk the health of the players? Because what about blood in your rookies? What about getting the people out there that just want to play?
but,
Like
but
who don't care about the actual result. They just want to get better and they want to play more games. Like the way that I've always seen American football is that I've got a finite amount of years that I can play
mm,
it. Granted, I've extended those years and I've played beyond what is a normal period of time. But I've got a finite amount of number of years, and I've only got so many games I can play in a year. So I see it as a big deal, like that a team forfeits and that you don't get to play a game against someone, or
what you
and
could say,
so if
you could say the
that's like
same.
my own team saying it, I'll be fucked off.
You could say the same about walkovers. It's like people pay for X amount of games. You're guaranteed to play this many games, or you should aim to play this many games. And
Mm.
it's in terms of uni. Like uni is a time for like most of the people to be broke. Paying for American football stuff's not great, and then having games like this. But then it's unfair on QMBL.
Mm.
Very much so. I really don't know. It's difficult. I don't know what to make of it. It's just simply unfair. Like it's.
Do you know what I can remember once? Right, I think I was playing under 15s rugby for Portsmouth, and we went to a place called Lewis. And Lewis is along the south coast, and it is like by Brighton. It was really far away for us because obviously when you're under 15s, you don't travel too far to play another team. We got all the way there, and they didn't have enough players. It was a home game for them, obviously. They didn't have enough players, and their coach come up to us, and he was like, "Oh, we ain't got enough players. And we had quite a big squad because we were quite a successful team. And they're like, "Yeah, can we have a couple of your players?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And my coach fucking picked me, and I was like, I took that as like the biggest insult ever. Like I'm the one that you're okay with everyone playing against, am I? And
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
yeah, and the team started me, so I ended up starting on like, and I just thought, wow, I'm not having this, and they in the end they took me off because I clotheslined one of my own like one of the Portsmouth players. Like I scored a try for the other team as well. Like I was like livid. I was so angry that I was playing out of my skin. And then
That is quite funny.
once I
Yeah,
clotheslined one of my players, the ref like come and spoke to me. He's like, "This is your team," and like my players from both sides were trying to moan at me about it. I was going, "Just fuck." And then in the end, they took me off. In the second half, they let me play for my team. So
I was really hoping you were
yeah,
going to say you got put back on for your team, and you got told you got sent off again.
no. I didn't get sent off. They just took me off. I didn't get like a proper. I just like I properly clotheslined one of our. It was our little scrum half, and just got him right in his neck. And his dad was one of the coaches on our team. And he's a lad I went to school with, so I'd like see him in school the next day. But anyway, I often think that would be funny if they did that in American football. Like, oh, we'll just swap,
Yeah, we'll just swap someone.
Can we borrow it? Can we borrow a wide receiver? But just want to quickly shout out to Matt Jones because he's love reacted to us on Facebook, which is really nice of him. So thank you, Matt. It's good to know that we've got some love from people. But yeah, for me, that's a really bad sign for ARU.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that's their season over. But I'm going to ask you, is this normal? But I don't know that it is because I've covered Uniball for like 3 or 4 years now, and I sort of got a good understanding of it. Not amazing, but I don't know that I can't really remember it being where so many teams like just dropped off because they had a losing record or because they would like they just didn't have a good squad or whatever.
Well,
is that like more of a sign of the times or is it always been there?
No, I mean, in terms of like my experience, like was it one team for the 1 year for the Colonials? What we lost every game. I think the point differential was minus 230 something. Completed all of our games. It wasn't in our mindset because we had the idea of every game you play is a game to get experience and learn for the future.
But it's also like surely the social side was a bit stronger then as well, though. Like you're
yeah, it's 100%. But then the thing is, it's also because of the COVID year. Instead of having 2 years recruitment to fall back on, you've only got the one. So all other players have left without playing their final season.
Yeah.
So you're left with the people who were second year and now third years.
Yeah.
And then there's been a less strong recruit. Yeah, you don't have 2 years worth of rookies. You've got 1 year's worth of rookies. So they're
yeah. I can see how that can culturally impact it. It's a good point because
but then it's also
you got a load more newcomers to the sport, and if their first experience is we just get hammered, they probably don't like sticking around. They don't, it's a lot easier.
But it's also like you look at teams that have like dropped out, like I'm not sure. Again, I'm not entirely sure which ones are injury based, but there could be like people who've had bad injuries. They don't want to come back.
They've
had
that. Well, and then also, priority one at Uniball or university is university, right? It's study, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And I can understand that you've got different pressures as a student, and the other thing that I think isn't helpful for completion is that you get a month off in the middle of the season, right? Like Christmas and New Year, and then you're like, either you get busy or you just think, I don't miss it that much, and so there's like another opening that doesn't exist in the other leagues that you can exit that, right? I think I can sort of understand it. I didn't know that it's ever been this prevalent, but I think that does explain it.
But I do think it's like just the classic of people like this is like almost getting into crunch time for uni, plus the level of rookies that you don't have. It's I wouldn't be surprised if like the number of like 3, 4, 5 either postponements or like walkovers will probably continue till like the season like
Well,
ends in
there'll be a
however many
point.
weeks.
There'll be a point of no return, of no postponement, right? Like you'll
Yes,
get,
yeah,
but it'd be like 2-3 weeks out, and they're like, "Look, we can't. There's no way we can rearrange these
yeah.
things." I know. Like so, Loughborough have got a game midweek this
They
week, so
have,
they've got a
and
Wednesday game.
they have. It's at Warwick, and I asked the people at Warwick, is that right? Because it's a home game for Warwick, and it's about a 3 minute drive from my front door, so I'm going to go to that on Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
You know,
That'd be
I
decent.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it will be in Warwick. You know, good on them this week, beating Nottingham Trent 6-0. I'm very impressed. I want to see what this Warwick defense has got. I'm very impressed.
Well, we'll get
You
into
know,
the
love.
results. I definitely want to get
Yeah,
into the results. I just want to answer this question here. I've got an answer for this, but I want to hear what you've got to say here. Stuart has said, "Are we still seeing the adult ball hangover for the tactical forfeit?" Now, yeah, go on. You give your answer, and then I'll
I
wade
mean,
in here.
it's you know, it's I don't want to put anyone out there and say, well, this could be, you know,
Yeah, you
but
can. You
you
can
know,
speculate.
it's is it plausible? Of course it is. Of course it's plausible.
Mm,
You know,
okay.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it
Okay.
is
So let me
plausible.
right. Let me have a go at this one then. So the tactical. This is quite funny. The tactical forfeit label came from a conversation that I had with the Knights, Farnham Knights head coach a few years ago. And what they did, like I was talking to him midweek, and he was talking about playing the Warriors. Uh, what teams are you alluding to, Steve? I'm telling you the teams, Frankie. Um, and or is he? I don't know what he's talking about. It's probably like a 3 minute delay. But yeah. So I was chatting to their coach, and he was like talking about playing the Warriors, and then they had to play a couple of winnable games, right? And but he was worried about losing his like key players in injury against the Warriors, and then having to and then that impacting the outcome of the games after or the game out, whatever it was. And I
Hmm.
was like, well, why don't like because I said at the time you could forfeit twice in a season before you I think yeah, there was no well they said there was no punishment on the first forfeit and there was on the second. Now I think if
Right.
you forfeit once, there's a punishment, and forfeit twice, you're in associate. I can't remember what the first punishment is, but they're like, you know, there is that. I think as a result of this, right? So I said to him, why don't you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tactically forfeit? So just take a tactical forfeit against them. And he was like, oh yeah, that's and he didn't like the idea, but he was like, that makes sense, but I don't like it. Anyway, they ended up doing it, and he used the fucking word tactical forfeit when they posted that, and I was like, no, just say forfeit. Just say forfeit.
Did he
So,
actually? That's really
yeah, so they
funny.
openly said tactical forfeit. And obviously, like the fuss it kicked up was unreal. A Premier League team taking a tactical forfeit to gain an advantage, and it was like the guy, the head coach of the Knights, brutally honest. He's a good mate of mine, and yeah, and I was like, no, you didn't have to say that.
That's
And as a
really,
result, that's when they started to penalise the first forfeit.
yeah.
So,
Okay. I
so
mean
when
that
I see tactical forfeit, I think to gain an advantage. Now,
yeah,
when you forfeit in Uniball, you lose 2 points.
yeah.
So I don't understand the competitive edge you're supposed to get, other than what the Knights did, which was save their players, and to make sure that they were going to perform better. So I'd like to understand, like, from you, like, what tactical gains do you have as a team in Uniball to take a forfeit against another?
Well, considering that it's -2 points, like -2 points is make or break a season.
Yeah,
Completely make or break a
yeah,
season.
yeah.
Like there isn't really
It's a big deal.
any reason to tactical forfeit in Uniball like at all, unless you're like at the top of your division. But if you're at the top of your division, then you probably aren't going to be worrying about losing key players if you're playing people that you may see as lesser competition.
Hmm.
So, in terms of that example, no, I don't think that there's um, tactical forfeits happening because No,
No,
like some,
but
like most.
but in terms of the hangover from Uniball, I'm not saying Stuart's asking this question. I'm changing the question here, right? The problem that we saw in Uniball, in the Senior Ball that last year was people would play the COVID card, which was the ace up the sleeve. No one could say anything about it. If you said there's COVID cases, then you've got COVID. And you weren't penalised by the league. You didn't lose your 2 points. From a Uniball perspective, I know. Yeah, it's like the game being voided.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
There was no comeback, and maybe so just, I suppose, building on what Stuart's saying there. Do you think teams could be playing the COVID card here and trying to push for a voided game as opposed to a forfeited one?
Again, it's completely plausible that they would, but there's teams here that aren't, particularly stressed about it. Like, I don't think, the York St John Jags Edinburgh Napier Knights game. That's probably not the case for a game like that. But it's very difficult. It's very difficult to say because COVID really is the be all and end all in terms of being able to just write something off.
Okay, so what about
it's giving people
a
way out? But then again, you don't want someone to spread COVID. It's It's a double-edged sword in terms of advantage versus people's health.
I'm not saying you can mitigate against it. The rules are correct, right? But what I'm saying is, that people using the rules to their advantage unfairly, because they're pussies, basically.
What do you think the result of that game is going to be?
Which one?
Well, that's you saying that, not me. Huh?
Oh, mate, I think we're on
you calling Swansea Titans pussies. I'm sick of uni teams getting aggro at me. Sick of it. No, I'm not sick of it. No, it could be. I'm not. It very well could be the case. They don't want bullets to, embarrass them again. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be. Like, out of all the teams there, that's probably the one that you look at the most and be like, this could be, a bit of nonsense.
Right, hold on. So let's get into the. We haven't got any more comments, have we? Guys, feel free to jump in with comments. If you feel, if you're compelled to ask us questions or tell us we're talking shit. Okay, tell us what stands out for you from the weekend, Tebbs.
So, in terms of the weekend, obviously, there's one big score. There's one big victory here, which, for me, when I saw it, I couldn't believe it. And I love it. It's Leeds Beckett Carnegie 25, Nottingham Gold 14. Nottingham Gold suffering their first loss of the season. That's mad. Like, Leeds Beckett have been climbing, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, that's amazing. Like, in terms of the standings, it really could launch Leeds Beckett into first. Nottingham Gold sitting on with 12 points, 6-1 record. Leeds Beckett 5-2. Obviously, like, Leeds Beckett are going to make the playoffs, but I feel like that gives them the momentum to actually springboard Notts Gold if they come to pass each other in the playoffs.
You mean leapfrog?
Spring, it means the same thing, doesn't it? Jump over them. Okay. The people know what I mean.
They don't. You're just talking nonsense. You got it wrong, and you won't admit it.
Let me
just get up on screen the Prem North so people can sort of see what they're talking about.
So, like, Leeds Beckett, their next game is against Leeds Griffins, and I feel like I don't really have to make a massive assumption here and say that Leeds Beckett are probably going to win that. Probably, almost definitely going to win that. And they're going to finish with what, a 7-2 record, and could Notts Gold come back again. Very likely, they're a very good team. You know, it's.
Well, and you can see when they played in week 6.
I saw that and I was astounded. Astounded. I thought Notts Gold had it, hook, line, and sinker, a lot like the Bullets do down in Prem South. But
clearly not. Well, you can see last week, it was funny because I remember seeing last week.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
against
Like
the
Leeds
Saints.
Beckett have got to be doing something correctly. But, you know, like Notts Gold, I think, even with, like, not.
Hold on, let me just message you because I think we're talking over each other.
Yeah,
There's a
exactly.
delay.
You see, I don't know. You know, I don't know what's happened to Notts Gold. No, that was just me not wait. That was just me just waiting. Oh, now there's a delay.
Yeah, there's definitely a delay. Right, Tebb's going to probably drop
Oh,
off.
we had a good
Actually,
run.
I might kick you, actually, and then you can come back in. Sorry, guys. We got issues with we've had issues last week actually with Tebb's his internet connection. But yeah, interesting. That's his first, you know, the first thing he plucks out was that result. Yeah, Tebbs is lagging. Yeah, thanks, Frankie. I know. Yeah, well, hopefully he comes back in all right. I don't know what it is with him in connecting to this software. We did have it on his on his landline connection and it was bad, and then he turned to his phone. But anyway, it's irrelevant. Yeah, I find it interesting that one gets plucked out. All I think about when I see it is not like, I don't think, oh, Carnegie's getting better or Gold are getting worse or anything like that. I just think Yui must be rubbing their hands. Like Yui must be loving this, because. Sorry, I was just elaborating, saying that Yui must be watching these results and thinking, we got it in the bag. You know, like
100%.
it just, yeah, like I really wanted there to be like two powerhouses from the one from the north, one from the south, and then they come together. And yeah, it doesn't look like that's what we're going to get. I think, well, it's results like that that make us question it. I think that's a
Yeah, it's
better
like
way of saying it.
given the
What? Is there a delay again?
Yeah, I mean, especially like after the Durham Saints game, like they're coming up as well, not as much as Leeds Beckett, and you know, for Leeds Beckett to overtake Notts Gold, I imagine.
It's definitely a
Yeah, I
delay.
don't know what it is. I've not done anything.
Okay, cool. Well, let me just message her. So, Tebbs, tell us what else has been a good talking point for you other than this this standout result.
I wonder how long the delay is. So luckily, I had the opportunity to go down to watch Lincoln versus DMU. You know, Midlands 2, obviously my favourite division in the world. It was good to see. Obviously, it was a very interesting game in terms of, you know, DMU were putting 50 on people. You know, 50 on Staffordshire, almost 50 on Notts Green. Got to the start of the fourth quarter, and the game was called due to safety reasons regarding the officials, as there wasn't any officials, any actual referees at the game, and there was just some questionable calls regarding late hits to the Lincoln quarterback, and the game was called. Now, this is interesting just based on the conversation that we had last week regarding the scheduling of the senior league, because you said, what's it going to take for people to turn around to BAFRA and be like, this is a load of nonsense? And I believe the specific example you said was literally this: there's not enough officials, and what happens when there's injuries? It's exactly what's happened. And speaking to the Lincoln head coach, you know, he was like, he's like, why isn't there a thing where, you split up the crews. You split up the crews. You have the officials, or two actual BAFA regulated officials as the front and back judges, and have two coaches as the sideline refs. That that obviously doubles the amount of games with actual officials. It's definitely opened my eyes to the concept of BAFA just being, what it's one of those things where you just can't believe it. It's silly. And I guess I've got to fucking shut myself up, because I was sort of saying, oh, but BAFA, you have to pay for BAFA because that's how you play football. Yeah, but you don't want to play football if it's going to lead to things such as this. Yeah, and it's going to, I imagine, like, even with stuff like this, it's going to be tougher in the senior ball season, where there's a lot more games stretched out over a thinner period of time. But then again, not to this is a Div 2 team. See, look, that is Frankie with a great point. Like, each team supplies one ref. That's fantastic. It's a good idea to make sure that refs, you have at least someone there who is official. Like, it's just such a good idea. But yeah, like, that was my thing. But again, very impressive from both Lincoln and DMU. Yeah, that's it. I was asking people, well, are DMU, are DMU, for real? They're very good. But this is obviously, I will say it's from a place of bias, because of course they're my alma mater team. Holding DMU to 16 points to the fourth quarter. I think it's impressive from Lincoln. It's going to be an interesting road for them going forward. They've only got one game left this week, and DMU have got two more games, Kiel and Huddersfield, and I think that's going to be impressive. I think DMU are going to stack up on them, and I just hope Lincoln can finish the season with a win. Take all the positives you can from a game such as this. Take it forward. What amazed me most was the professionalism from the Lincoln sideline when the decision was made by the president and the head coach to end the game early. Very, 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 very impressive. Yeah, honestly, brilliant game of football. Absolutely amazing. Which is why I decided to go to Warwick versus Loughborough this week. God, I do miss Uniball. That's all I can say.
I know there's a delay on this, but I just wanted to ask, who were the refs in that game?
So I believe it was. Well, I know it was one of ours, and definitely one of ours, one of theirs, and then someone else. I don't know if he was from ours or theirs. I think he might have been from Lincoln, and then a neutral ref.
Okay. So what else was standing out for you this week? I know there was the one that you sort of mentioned was the 34-all draw.
Yes. Very cool. That must have been an absolute cracker to watch. Manchester Tyrants, Sheffield Sabres. Oh, I'm sure the Tyrants aren't happy to come away with a tie, but gosh, I imagine as a spectator, that is, that must have been an absolutely cracking game. Yeah, another one. Cool. Thank you, Matt. Okay. Big love. Thanks, Big love. So another one which I think I may have missed out on. Okay, thank you, Matt. One that was a big one for me. Warwick Wolves, Nottingham Trent. Warwick Wolves 6, Nottingham Trent Renegades 0.
Yeah.
And that to me is just very impressive. Like, it seemed to be Nottingham Trent and Loughborough were running the top of that. Were running that division, and Warwick were very much sort of sitting on top of Coventry and Leicester, who weren't particularly They're not really doing much. You know, the only teams that Coventry's beaten is Leicester, and Leicester are winless. You know, but Warwick Wolves are now have the same record as Nottingham Trent. Loughborough sit here, you know, all wins.
Oh, I thought
Well,
they'd lost one game, but no, they all win, do they?
Loughborough,
Mm,
I believe they've won them all. That's what
okay.
our website says.
Wow. If our website says it, it's got to be true.
Got to be true. But yeah, obviously Warwick coming off a big win here. They're going up against the top of the division. You know, very impressed with Warwick. You know, it's interesting to see after teams come back from Christmas, which teams, you know, falter a bit and which teams somehow excel. But yeah, in terms of everything else, you know, I think the U Clan Rams, Manchester Metropolitan Eagles, two to U Clan Rams, 9 MMU. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, but does that with just to ask, right? So with that 34 all for me, that was like, well, I don't know about result of the week, but like if I could have picked any game to be at, that would have been the one. I would have loved to have watched that game. I don't know anything about it. I don't know about the league change. You know, in my mind, it was like, you know, a fight to the death, and it was like, you know, league changing hands, and there was great play on all sides of the ball and all that stuff. Just because I saw 34, like for both teams to score 34 points, you know, that's a hell of a game, right? So and so you know, you never got much to go on with Uniball, right? You get to hear some things, you read some tweets, and then see the results. But yeah, I think that would have been the result that I would have watched. I think if I had to pick a result of the week, I don't think I can look any further than Carnegie beating Nottingham Gold.
Yeah, realistically, that's
just because of like the impact of it, like
100%.
Like I don't think it's it is an underdog winning, right? Like you would have expected, but it's not such a huge underdog. Like they're a competitive, decent side. Leeds are a great club. Very, very good. Leeds Beckett, sorry, not the Leeds Griffins. They're awful.
They are. Yeah, they are.
I was joking. Leeds Beckett are fantastic, right? And so, like, it doesn't. I don't know. I don't want it to like look as like a David versus Goliath. It wasn't, but it's a great result for them, and it really is shaken up like our expectations of what's going to happen in the playoffs in the Premiership.
That's exactly it. That's exactly the reason why that is like as far as I want to say, the biggest score, because like, you know, Nottingham Gold, you know, they were in the rarefied air with the Bullets. You know, it'd be great if it was 2 undefeated teams.
Oh mate,
they went through the whole regular season, then they go bang right together. You know, and if hopefully, you know, if I was lucky, it would have been over.
Like, you know, it's not over. It's dampened it, hasn't it? It's not, you know, like and that. Both of those organisations, like Nottingham, are a fantastic organisation themselves, very well run. You know, their head coaches, the head coach of the Tamworth Phoenix and GB, right? Like they know what they're doing. They're a good side and they got good spirit there. They're not giving up by any means, and they've now got something more to prove and something to come back from, and they absolutely will. So like, it's still on for that fight. Like, and I know we're talking very assumptively that's going to be the final game, but you know, let's say you know it's UE Bullets versus Gold in the final. It's still on for that to be a competitive game. It's a blip, and you've got one side that's blipped and one side that hasn't. You know, so that's the problem. You know, and I am looking forward to it. I like, as you know, like I like competition. I like you know, teams to really be slugging it out and playing their best against each other and trying each other out, and it coming, you know, and it coming down to like the coaches noticing things correctly and players giving feedback to the coaches and changing game plans and all that. Like that's what, you know, that's the side of the game I really love. And so, you know, I hope that's what we're headed for with the final, and it's not just this, you know, one-sided boys versus men, you know, ridiculousness. So
yeah, like when the time comes around, it's gonna be interesting. Like I'm still on pace to say that, like, if I was going to go to a game this year, it's on pace to be Napier Knights versus Glasgow Tigers. You know, when that happens, if both teams are undefeated at that time, they're still undefeated. as far as I'm concerned, like, I got a family up in Glasgow. I'm half tempted to shoot them a message and be like,
Really?
can I come up on a Saturday, and so I can pop over to whoever it is, or hopefully it's Glasgow. I mean, less of a drive for me. Pop over and see that game and just be like an absolute wrecking ball of Scottish
Glasgow,
football.
Edinburgh isn't that much of a drive, is it? Like,
Or no, not in terms of like America. Like it's plausible. I'll think about it.
and then so there was interesting one thing. We had a Friday game, Friday evening, the Pride versus the Bath Killer Bees. Pride go, untested again, 41-0. Where do you think they sit in the Prem? So they get like, let's not relegate anyone. Let's just say we drop them in and there's a 17 Prem South this year. Where do you see them?
God, that is a good question. Like realistically, like I think we all know that what's going to be the game next year is going to be the Bullets versus the Pride. Like that is going to be the game.
That's the ranking order I see them in. I actually do see UE as the better team, and the
Yeah,
Pride just underneath them.
Well, the thing is that like,
and then I see everyone else. Although, how would the Pride do against Gold? How would Pride do against Nottingham Gold or Leeds Beckett? Like that's another.
I think you might be counting out Birmingham Lions.
Yes. Yeah. God. Yeah. Sorry.
I think it's going to be an interesting game as the second Pride get up to Prem.
Yeah.
The Pirates are sort of floating like the Pirates. They're up and down, but the Lions, like the Lions, they just have the boogeyman team. They have the Bullets. Like that's easily plausible. So I think like the second that it is Pride versus Lions, I think that is going to be the telling point of what the Pride do.
No, well, see, I could argue the same for the Titans and the Cobras if they're the team that end up staying up out of those like sort of I suppose vying for relegation or vying for survival. Because the Cobras are no walkover, man. Like I know
No.
they just got thumped by UE, but that's you can discount that and look how they performed against everyone else. They got beat by Birmingham the week before. This week just gone, and they lost by 17 points. But they were pretty much sort of neck and neck with each other, jostling for position, and then towards like I think it was like third quarter. That's when the Lions started to pull ahead. So like this team they're all pretty good teams, man, and that's why I sort of think, God, where did the Pride go in? The other thing the Pride have got going for them is this another year of playing together. Like so they're going into it having played a season together, and should be that much better. And I imagine a number of those players also play together for the academy level Pride, which is sixth form, because now they're uni, right? So yeah, it's just going to be quite interesting to.
It's one of those things where I'm hoping that next year the sort of advent of Uniball games being streamed picks up even more steam because like it's like this quite far away. Obviously, Birmingham is if there's a if that's the case, I could pop over there. But like seeing something like the Bullets versus the Pride, like that is something that I think could be very interesting to like, not just Britball, the Britball fans, but actual American football fans. I think that is really, really, really interesting. Really interesting.
Where do you? Okay, so let me ask you the same question for the Pride, and I know this isn't going to happen, but I'm talking hypothetically.
Yeah.
Where do the Pride slot into the Prem North?
Prem North, I think they would be above Durham. I think they'd be above Durham, and then obviously like the Klansmen, the Griffins, they're very much. They're not so much fighting for the bottom anymore.
The Klansmen every season just pull it out the bag towards the end of the season. They always have a good post-Christmas, and it's like they're a different team. So I always like where it's been like in previous seasons. I thought, oh, well, they're the ones going down this year, and then like they go on to like they get to the final or whatever, and So I always I just like I know not to speak ill of the Klansmen. um. So yeah, I'm the sorry. Who was the other team you said?
Leeds Griffins,
The
Durham Saints.
Griffins and the Saints. I think I would say the Pride are better than those two, and then unknown need to be tested against the rest. That's where I would put them.
That's it. Is that I really wouldn't be able to say, especially with the win this week against the Gold. I wouldn't be able to like bet my house
Yeah,
on the Pride beating Leeds Beckett.
yeah.
Um,
But
like
I just think it's gonna be interesting to see what the future holds within Uniball, right? So because this year, um, the league's been and really for the last couple of seasons, the league's been dominated by UE. UE open to a lot of criticism, or have received a lot of criticism, and get a ton of it on. I saw I look on usually Instagram. People don't take kindly to the fact that they've got so many or a number of American imports. Um, so is the answer that they stay on top until everyone catches up with them in terms of does the Gold, does Carnegie, does um, Birmingham need to start bringing in a lot more talent from overseas, imported talent, to be able to compete and raise the level of the game, or is it a UE? Have UE got it wrong? A UE over egging it and really giving themselves an unfair advantage that shouldn't really exist?
this is the like fundamental question with Britball. It's the absolute fundamental question: is bringing Americans over, should you have the cap on the amount of imports you should bring in? It's like it's very, very, very difficult because everyone would like more people who have been playing the game for a long time, whether that's from childhood or even from their teenage years. But you know it's the scholarship system, especially for American football, is very different over here. So when you have teams in the Prem where they've got the ability to do it, um, it's very interesting because you'd love to turn around and say I can understand both sides of the coin.
Mm.
Having that many people trained from that young, because like there aren't going to be that many British-born people who are going to be that young and go through the game and get to the level of the Americans.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
again,
So how do you level the playing field? Basically, do you mirror and match what they've done and bring it up, or do you expect them to come down?
I don't think that there's going to be an expectation for them to come down. It's people like to go to a winning team. You know,
Yeah.
um, if people are going to have the choice between, okay, let's say Leeds Griffins, they turn around and be like, okay, you come here, and they go, okay, well I've actually got an off. The Bullets say they would like me as well. Who are you going to go to? You're going to go to the Bullets. You know, that's it. Is you can't expect people to come down to your level when they're at the top.
Mhm.
Like they've got a formula that works. They've obviously got a coaching staff that works and is interesting to people to come over,
Yeah.
and they've got the record to prove it.
Yeah, I share your opinion. I don't think the answer is to close the doors and not let the nasty Americans in. If you want our sport to get better across the board, you let these people in to share their experience. Yeah, they're gonna perform on the pitch, but what are they also doing off the pitch? Off the pitch, they're
Yeah,
teaching everyone like just like key things about the game, like fundamentals, like I don't know, don't sit on your lid, you know, um, take a knee when someone's injured, like to show respect to them, like all these little bits and pieces that someone that's grown up with the game knows. But then obviously then there's the play stuff, right? Like hand positioning, feet positioning, all that sort of stuff, and how you approach the game. Um, their preparation, what they do, how they work out, how they practice, all their different drills they'll know. There's so much information that can be absorbed from them and passed on to people in the sport that are just starting out at the time when that's the best time to teach them and to give them good habits. It's
But
much
then also,
harder.
like, they've got the ability to then go back to America and say, you know what, the British actually do have some sort of cohesion in terms of American football.
Mm.
Because
Well, the same. So sorry, go on.
I imagine that, like, obviously I can't speak. It's a very generalization. Like, I imagine if you go and speak to British people, they'll be like, did they have, college American football? They probably be like,
Mm.
well, no, probably not. But then to have ones that are at the level of the Bullets, I imagine that's very impressive to um, the people overseas.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
it'll bring more in.
I do think there's a good law, and the other side of it is like I think a lot of people's and I think this is a misconception, although I don't have it fully confirmed to be perfectly honest with you. But I think people's assumption is that all of those players are coming over on free rides, um, and in a lot of cases they're not. But the, what people in the UK are overlooking is the how cheap it is comparatively for a US student to come and study in the UK. It's like 18 grand a year to do a course here for them. Um, or they get into hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, or tens of hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, or sometimes near hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt in their own country. So even the prospect of coming, like obviously being an athlete, continuing to play, as well as getting education and not spend much money, that's great. If you've also got elements of a scholarship with it as well, awesome. But I don't think it is a case that there's tons and tons of scholarships just being lashed out.
No,
I think it's just very good articulation and value statement of what's possible. And I think people think that it's not that they're giving full rides and they're throwing money at it. They're not. They're just sort of packaging what's possible. And you think a lot, like, so in the States, a lot of parents, like when I lived there, all my friends' parents had college funds for the kids from my mates. They're always talking about their college fund, their college fund, their college fund, and you see it in popular culture as well. You'll see it on
yeah, yeah,
films and
yeah,
stuff. Now they've saved up these college funds for their kids since they were little, and those funds will be about 100 grand by the time that kid goes to college, maybe a bit more, because it's not just the tuition fees, it's accommodation, it's all the other the costs, right?
yeah.
Food you have to eat at times, going out. So you know you imagine as a parent hearing that, like, oh yeah, like we've set aside $100,000, but this guy could go to the our son could go to the UK for a fraction of that money, um, get an education and continue to play sport. Like it's actually a really strong prospect that I think more clubs could use. And actually, like, it probably sounds a bit weird to us, but the Ivy League universities have probably got the best chance of doing it. So like Oxford, Cambridge, if you were to go to a student in the US and say, you can come and study at Oxford, we'd like to offer you a place on our American football team. This is how much it's going to cost. Like, that's like a dream come true for some of these
Yeah,
kids, but we're
100%.
just we're not doing enough to like get hold of that. But hold on, there is so Chris Green said I'm wrong, but let me just see. So we'd love to see an NCAA college bowl system, regardless of North South, just set up games and the nearest regular season wins. Yeah, well, I think it's much better than the current format, which is there's 6 teams or 5 teams, one gets relegated and the rest go through to the playoffs. It's just ridiculous. And you have a situation like you did years back with Portsmouth Destroyers ended up in the position where they had to travel like up north somewhere, and they had a losing season, and they were like, "Nah, we'll forfeit it." Didn't even play it. So yeah, something's got to be done, and that sounds like quite a viable solution there, Russ. So Chris said my assumption's wrong, massively wrong. The uni makes money having international students too. Okay, that's interesting. And any uni can do it. And Chris, I think that's sort of my point. Is like, um, and yeah, so students pay 2 or 3 times more for. Yes, they do. So those 2 points are right. So they do pay more, but it's less comparatively for them than they were expected. They'd expect to play domestically. Um, and he said any uni can do it. And that's my point, Chris. Is like you can do this. It's just knowing you can do it. It's funny, right? So I, for those of you
Well,
who
I
don't know
also
what I
I
do,
also think that there's also the issue that like I feel like is not being brought into it is that like most unis I feel like don't. Well, I got the assumption that from like unis that I've played for, like American football is very much not something they're particularly interested in terms of chucking that out there, despite the fact that they earn money from it. Um, obviously,
but
if
they have money
American
from every student, right? Like it's not like
yeah, but it's like teams that with good football teams more likely to get these international students, and therefore they're more likely to come. Like, but like teams that aren't as good, they're not as likely. So like their uni teams are probably going to go, oh, okay, what's the right? Okay, but our team's not very good. But then they don't have the sort of concept of American sports where it's like, oh yeah, but then you bring people in,
yeah,
and then the
then
team
then you're
gets good.
better. Yeah. Yeah, Chris has just said no. You're right. I was sorry. I misread the statement. Chris, he's telling me I was right, and the assumption of people saying they chuck loads of money at them is not true. It's literally like a gym and a place to stay, and they get international discount. Um, God, there's a few people talking now. So Russ has said most vice chancellors spend a lot of time abroad recruiting students, mainly from the Far East and Middle East. Any uni can do it. However, a lot of unis either don't understand it or care much about American football. Yeah, good point,
He's
Kieran.
completely right. He's completely right.
Yeah,
It's like I always felt that. I always felt that like it was we enjoy playing it, but then the uni, because we require more kit than say rugby, and we get a fraction of the people that they're not really willing to. They'll let us do it, but that's what they'll give us. They'll let us do it.
mm. But so just one more point from Chris. He said, obviously, UE have an advantage. They have a full-time paid coach to recruit as part of their job, and also find the time. Now, interestingly, so you know this, Tebbs. This is one of the things that and I did like this is the whole like ads are getting smarter thing, right? But I didn't mean this is like a plug, but it's a good opportunity to. So many people know that Gridiron Hub is now changing to Sport Tank. This is the new logo and the new name. And as part of that, you'll be able to have a profile, sporting profile on. Well, you can already have a profile, but it's going to be updated and it will look better. And what we're looking at doing is launching like a network to be able to help players find clubs. And specifically, we'll be looking at doing targeting international students to be able to find Uniball teams. So we're going to try and help facilitate a solution to this, but it's just really interesting articulating it. One of what it rings a bell. So a lot of people don't really know what my day job is, but so in my day job, I work as a go-to-market and enablement leader for a tech company that sell databases, which is it's a lot more interesting than it sounds. But essentially, what I do is train salespeople, and one of the things I'm always telling them is like the prospect, the opportunity that we've got, the thing we sell and what we can do for companies is interesting to people that run companies, right? You don't have to just go to the techie people to have the conversation. And that's what it feels like with this. It's like there's this amazing opportunity available to you, but you don't think those people who are going to benefit from it are going to be interested. And I can assure you that there is tens of thousands of college age kids that would love to come over to the UK and play. So hopefully, yeah, like I said, hopefully we can help do something with that, facilitate, opening up those doors on either side. So what's this? Look at the Manchester teams who simply struggled to get pitches for games. I didn't even know that. And then sorry, Chris said, research then it's not difficult. People who moan are part of the problem. Do something about it and saying they don't, and stop saying they don't understand. Then ask questions and understand. Then ask questions, understand. Ask those that do it, now and ask. He likes to say ask a lot. Don't make excuses, make solutions. That's what I'm always saying to my missus. And I don't mean that in like a sexual way. She fucking moans about everything.
No, I didn't take it in a sexual way.
I think people might have done. My missus is like 36 weeks pregnant. That's the last thing on either of our minds at the moment. But anyway, so I know we got quite into it then. I wasn't expecting that in this show, but it is an interesting thing, and my hope, and as you can tell with like the plan with Sport Tank, or what Gridiron Hub's going to be, is to try and raise the game, not just Uniball, but everywhere. By making everything easier for everyone. Having this like format, this place, this network that opens up those doors. So hopefully we can start being a better value add to the sport, as well as this fantastic live stream shows that we do, and the cool graphics that we make. But right, let's get back to the. Were there any other results that stood out for you, Tebbs? I think we've sort of gone through.
Not particularly. No, I feel like I've gone through any results that have sort of taken me aback. Quite a few. Not quite a few. How many games? Like the games like Liverpool Raptors and Aberystwyth, along with UClan and MMU, where it's been like safeties, especially Liverpool Raptors, Aberystwyth, and there's just a safety, just ran like Solent Red Hawks and Bath Bar Bulldogs.
Yeah,
32.
So I wonder when I see those 2-pointers, I think, and you see them because I see like the score updates coming through, or check on like Instagram stories, and I think how does this keep happening? Is it like muffed punts and stuff? Like
it must be. It must be like
the snap goes over the punter's head, and then he just whacks it out of the back of the end zone to prevent the TD. So this one's interesting. Oxford versus Winchester was a good. So I've got a nice soft spot for Winchester, and I'm waiting for them to get their first win, and they did do well. They went 23-18 versus the Oxford Lancers, and that's a decent score by.
That's a good score.
Because Oxford Lancers aren't really pushovers, and Winchester is still trying to get there. It's good that because this was an away game for them, so the biggest hurdle was actually making sure the bus turned up, and that everyone was there. So that's progress, from the first part of the season.
That's pretty much a win.
Yeah. That if you take that as like a 7-point handicap, then they won by 2 points.
Yeah.
So fantastic. Well done.
Congratulations, Winchester.
Solent versus Bath was a booming punt from Bath that put us on the 1, and they got a tackle for a loss.
Limbs.
What the hell's limbs mean?
Oh, it just means just like throwing limbs.
Ah, right. I'm not down with like the cool kids. I'm
sorry, mate. Year. That's why
I don't look it. But I'm old. My beard probably gives it away. NFL then. Should we move on to the NFL? Because I think we've squeezed the. I don't even know what the week 15 games are, so we'll put them up on the week. But hopefully there's some juicy stuff coming. I should have really been more prepared, but I'm not. The NFL. So
amazing.
If you'd have asked me prior to, not that you did, but if you did, and not that you would, but if you did, asked me prior to the 2 games, I would have said I would like the Rams and the Bengals to get through. So I was watching those games. I did, don't get me wrong, I didn't care. I didn't care. Had the Chiefs won, had the 49ers won, makes no odds to me. I don't care who wins the games. But I sort of had this thing in the back of my mind, and I think they were 21-3 down, the Bengals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And so my missus was still awake at that time, and she had been watching like the Real Housewives of whatever the latest fucking city is, right? That they do. I don't know if you've ever watched that show, but it's just crazy. And I was like, the game's on. Can we watch that? And then it got to like 21-3, and I almost give her the remote back and said, I'll just go. I'll wait till the second game. Don't worry about this one.
Yeah,
And yeah, I'm glad I didn't, because that game was quality for me. I really enjoyed
is
it.
that like it's? I remember like I was like I got in and I like went straight to bed. I had a nap. I woke up. I saw the score. I was like, okay, fine. Got up, went downstairs. What? How's this scoreline got like this? And then for the Chiefs to lose in the same way that they beat the Bills, amazing, simply amazing. The Bengals have made one of the best runs to the Super Bowl in a long time. It's
Yeah.
I didn't want to see the Chiefs go through. Are the Chiefs a good football team? Yes,
Oh
but
God.
I'm bored. I'm bored. I don't want to look. I'm boring. I don't want to look at them. They've already been there. I know I'm a terrible fan because I'm like, oh, good football. Like a Rams Chiefs Super Bowl is what people dreamed of because they have such great regular season matches. Like they had one
Right.
a couple of years ago where it was like the greatest. They were called like the greatest like regular season game of all time. Like it was madness.
Right.
But I'm bored. I'm bored of the Chiefs. I like Andy Reid. I'm bored. I'm bored.
Right.
Simply bored. Give me Joe Shiesty smoking a cigar. That's what I need. I want Burrow to go all the way. Will he? Probably not. And go on to the Rams 49ers. I think it's just incredible. Like statistics wise, the 49ers were the easy pick. They'd had the Rams number for a long, long time. A
Mm.
long, long time. But Garoppolo um, is showing sort of why that Trey Lance is there. They traded a pick to get the Dolphins pick to pick Trey Lance.
Yeah.
They obviously didn't have much faith in Garoppolo. He's done well. I think Garoppolo is going to find himself on a new team next year, and he's probably going to get paid quite a lot of money.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Whoever that may be.
He's a conference champion. He's a conference championship QB. However you look at
Yes.
it, right? Like,
Yeah, and like he was a Super Bowl MVP, 2 years ago. He's going to go somewhere and he's going to earn a lot of money. That's fair to him. But the Rams had the number. I think it's going to start. Let's say the Rams win the Super Bowl. I think it's going to start opening up questions to like, can you just put all your chips on the table and be like, we're going to build this team, even if it's a 1-year team, and we're going to trade away our picks. They haven't got a first round pick until 2024. I believe someone said it on the broadcast last night. The Rams haven't had a first round pick since Barack Obama was in office. That's how mad they are of just giving out first round picks. And now they've got the opportunity to tell everyone that was like, this will never work, to be like, nope, doesn't matter. Sean McVay can win the Super Bowl. Zach Taylor is going to be coach of the year, undoubtedly. But, the Bengals with an O-line that is Swiss cheesy, they've somehow made it to the Super Bowl.
For me, that's where this game's won or lost is the Ram like this and the Super Bowl, but also yesterday's game. It's the Rams D line. If the Rams D line turn it on, like they did in the divisional game,
yeah,
they were formidable against the Buccaneers.
But then that's it. It's like I was very surprised. Like Rams, no sacks last night. 49ers. They obviously realised what they had to do. The O-line did a great job. Just wasn't all there.
Well, they shit the
If
bed
I
in
was
the end, didn't they?
if I was
I
a
mean,
betting man,
the last couple of
maybe
Sorry.
take Super Bowl. I'm going to take the over for sacks. Like what's it in the Titans Bengals game? Joe Burrow sacked 9 times, still won. This is going to be a mad Super Bowl, an absolute madness. And what I find completely mad is that you have it never happened in history before. Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing in their home stadium at the Super Bowl. Never happened before.
Yeah.
The next year,
second one, yeah.
LA Rams playing in their home stadium.
Well, for the Super Bowl and the divisional and the conference.
Yeah, it's madness. I'm really looking forward to it. Can not wait. Simply, this has the opportunity to be a great Super Bowl. Bengals. I think they're going to go. Bengals are going to Patriots them. They're going to the Rams are going to be like the Falcons. Falcons are going to do it on heavy. Bengals come back. Joe Burrow raises the highs.
That's what I was going to ask next. Like, who's going to win it? Joe Burrow. See, like I said, I'm cool. I'm cool with either team. Like I like I really like Odell Beckham and his story, and I like Aaron Donald on the Rams, and
Even
Stafford,
Stafford, like have all of his time spent at the Lions,
10
worrying
years.
that he's going to go the same way as Megatron, and he's
Yeah.
just going to sort of have his whole career be at the Lions, and he's going to be like the best player in Lions history. But that doesn't really mean considerably much in terms of the wider spectrum of the NFL.
Mm.
But now he's got the opportunity to take that, but then he's got to go through,
Yeah,
the
like Mixon
man who
and Chase
he's got
and
he's got to go
all
through the
those.
magicians at Cincinnati,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what's good. I didn't want to see Chiefs doing good football. Oh, great, normal good football, great. No, I want to see. What do I want to see, Steve? I want to see shithouse football. I
Yeah.
want to see a Super Bowl that is pure shithousery, because that's what will keep
Just
me
nonsense.
from. Yeah, that is what is going to keep me from maybe not drinking 12 pints before the halftime, maybe only drinking 9 pints before halftime.
What about
That's
the
what's going to keep me.
halftime? What about the halftime show? What do you make of that? You looking
Um,
forward to it?
I think it's gonna be interesting.
It's hip hop, isn't it? Like it's. I know
Yeah,
Dr. Dre, Snoop,
it's Dr. Dre,
Eminem.
Kendrick, Eminem,
Yeah,
Snoop Dogg. Yeah, I think it's going to be a real interesting one. Obviously, like in LA, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, I bet they wish it was the Raiders, but not much
yeah.
you can do with that. Um, I think it's going to be a real good mix. Um, yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a great time. Really do.
Right. Well, I think unless have you got anything else to talk about? Because I think
No,
we've done
no,
just over an hour.
skipped Bafra because Bafra was dry. Come on, guys.
Yeah, it's a shame because that's one of my favourite things that I look forward to.
The only one
Is
the only
your
one we
takedown of Bath? there was just a few rejections, weren't there, or some suspensions?
yeah, it's like, what do you mean, like, what Jamie Campbell for the Mustangs, he got 3 unsportsmanlikes. Don't swear at the refs. Simple. Then, just a fight between Portsmouth and Sussex, yeah, I mean, you had a fight. The one thing they did have, which was, relatively questionable, which was on um the Bournemouth game, is that, like, some of the chain crew were chirped into some of the coaches.
Oh yeah, you said this.
Yeah,
But
here you go.
I think that's why I said to you. That's why I can't do the chain crew if I ever. Well, I try to turn up late to games, so I don't have to get the
Yeah,
bus to
I
do
wish
anything.
I wish I knew that in my first year, because there was
Yeah, yeah.
there
You
was
should
a
get
there was a
lumbered with
game
it.
there was a game that I chain crewed for, and they were obviously talking nonsense, and then after I get into a conversation, because I'm stood on their sideline for for an hour, some people were told not to talk to me because I was the opposition. It's like, yeah, but I'm not playing, am I? I'm not. I don't have my kit and pads on, standing there for a gaff trying to learn your play
Should be like
calls.
pretending to do signs back to your sideline just to make them all nervous.
Yeah.
But I
Oh, mate,
like.
don't, like, what is mad? What is mad here is that is apparently what this geezer has done. This is on the Bafra. The replacement then began shouting out what the visiting team's next play was going to be.
Where's this?
Amazing, huh?
Where's this?
Game management reports. The chain crew had to be replaced twice. At the end of the first quarter, the crew was changed as they appeared to not able to properly perform their duties. Following this, one of the replacement persons argued with the opposition coach and the head linesman. The replacement then began shouting out what was the visiting team's next play was going to be. When the game management were made aware, they did their utmost to assist in getting a suitable crew, despite that being a challenging task.
I can't find this.
He started shouting out their plays. Oh,
That's brilliant.
simply.
Because I mean, I've had arguments with people on because when you're doing the change, you're on the opposition sideline, and you
Yes.
can hear them talking shit. And like I've turned around and like when they've said stuff like I don't know, trying to encourage players to hurt players, or just say like go a bit too far with what they're saying. I'd turn around and just like tell them shut up, and then that's it. You're then piling into them, and you're knocking them all out. I can't help it. I wake up and then whole sideline is just I've decimated them.
Yeah.
No, but
They're
I
about to
have
call the
I
game
have
now.
had some verbals with some
Yeah.
with some, and then end up having to be the ball boy on my sideline. Like, look, putting my finger up at them, saying, "Come on in." But, yeah, no, any injured players or any ex players, just wait until kickoff and then turn up. If you want to just enjoy the game, if you want to be like, if you want to partake and you want to be a games maker or get involved, help the club out, cool. If you just want to watch some football and chat to your mates, turn up late. And the same happens at half time. As the end of the second quarter, sometimes like the people that do it go, I can only do a half, then I've got to go or whatever. And then that whoever that game day manager is like looking around for his prey, like what are you doing in the second half? You're like, oh no. So yeah, towards the end of the second half, start to disappear a little bit. Take a little walk, go around the other, go to the opposition sideline. Yeah, those are
cool. Get the play ball.
I might do like a little top tips for Britball. That's definitely one. Go and watch.
Yeah, that is definitely one. You know, I'm not trying to. We're not trying to make life hard for the game managers.
No, I know. Yeah.
But doing chain crew is the worst.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Anyway, right. So should we wrap it up then, mate?
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
We have South West Wales. I still can't believe Baffa haven't stepped in. And South Wales Warriors haven't stepped in to kick that guy out of the sport. I don't get it. I do not get it. And I think, if it imagine you're playing in a game and I don't know, he spears someone. He does one of his stupid bullying things where he grabs them by their cage or just, that fucking idiot just tries to, Nate his name, isn't it? Tries to hurt someone. It's going to absolutely go off. Absolutely go off. Because everyone's like primed. Well, not everyone. Your players that are like fucking pissed off about it. You've got about 10, 15 players at every club just waiting for him to step out of line. Yeah, exactly. It's just like it is. He's this like catalyst for trouble by letting him play. It's like when they employ a paedophile at your workplace. No, it's not. No, you're right. We're primed. Cool. Anyway, so on that note, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone.
Good way to end it, Steve.
Yeah. I might clip just that bit, and that'll be what I share this week. But thanks for everyone for sticking with us. Tebbs, thanks for your time, mate. As always, it was awesome. And
thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Next week. Enjoy your sport this week, guys. Take it easy.